Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. What locks do I use in my rental units? Don't you hate it when you see a thumbnail that has something you'd like to know and then you click on it and the content creator talks for like 5 minutes before finally getting to the point? I could make that video,
but not today.
In this video, I'm going to get right to it. These are the locks I use. Schlag coated locks. I purchased them from Amazon. Link is in the description below. I'm hoping that giving you the exact information you were looking for in less than a minute gets you to hit the like button on this video. The rest of this video is going to cover the why of why I chose these locks and this specific configuration. I prefer to purchase already occupied properties whenever possible. A lot of investors look at buying a property that's empty so they can do a rehab and set it at market rents. I work full-time, self-manage 16 rental units. I'm a single parent with 3 kids and am super lazy. I don't want to buy a property and have to do a rehab. I don't want to buy a property and have to have tenants move out and disrupt their life. I prefer to buy rental properties that are already occupied because I'm shooting to get a cash-on-cash return with as little work from me as necessary. So I don't want to do a rehab. Actually, I've been investing for a little over 10 years and I have never yet done a rehab. I do have a strategy that gets my tenants to request a rent increase. That strategy is how I'm able to find my deals that cash flow better than a 10% cash-on-cash return on the MLS using traditional lending. And that is the information that my content is designed to share. One of the things that I do to help my binder strategy be more effective, that's the strategy that gets the tenants to request the rent increase, is that when I take over ownership of a property, I fix some small things. First, I replace exterior lights with motion sensor LED lights. I replace locks with coated locks. And then I ask the tenants, if they owned the property, is there anything that they would like to fix? And you would expect tenants to request some big thing like add a bedroom or another garage. But most of the requests have been really small. One asked for a screen door, which cost me less than $100. Another had a fan that was on permanently because the remote had died. So fixing some small things and doing minor upgrades had my tenants very happy. So when I have that binder conversation, it goes a lot better. And in a moment of transparency, I say things like, I put in coated locks and I put in motion sensor LED lights and I put in a screen door. I call a handyman because don't forget the lazy. The handyman takes care of that kind of work and my tenants are happy. There's a few reasons why I like to put in coated locks. The first is I don't have to worry about switching locks or worrying about a previous owner, previous contractor, or previous tenants having access to the building. The second is I prefer to purchase in Class C neighborhoods. Neighborhoods are broken up in Class A, B, C, or D. A is very fancy, D is a war zone. I like Class C because in an economic downturn period, like a time when there's a government shutdown, stock market crash, or pandemic. I'm not sure I'd ever see a pandemic in my lifetime, but if it ever happened, there would be more demand for my rental units because people could move from a Class A or Class B down to Class C to save money. Not too many people are moving to Class D to save money. So in bad times, demand for my units would go up. Like we saw in the 2008 housing crash. In 2009 and 10, rents went up because there was more renters creating more demand on limited supply. And what I find is that in Class C areas, coated locks aren't common. So my tenants are really happy to have a lock where they don't have a key. I'm happy because I have a code for myself, so I always have access to the building. I have a code for the tenant that's switched anytime there's a tenant turnover or switched anytime there's a change in the relationship status of the tenants. A code for contractors, a code for handyman. So when there's a project that they need to take care of, I don't even have to actually meet them there to give them access. And it's really easy to keep track of this. This is a little bit of behind the scenes information. How I run my business is a lot of people have a vision board. I have a vision book. Each one of my rentals gets 10 pages in this book so that I can track the mortgage, the tenants, the current rates, when the refrigerator was replaced, all of that information. But I also keep the book that the lock came with. So I have the key taped to it, and then I have the codes in here in case I want to switch the codes at any time. I just go find the book and I can take care of that. Very easy. It takes less than a couple of minutes to change codes. I've been doing this for over 10 years and I have never had a tenant lockout or one of these locks fail. That's one of the reasons why I prefer these Schlag locks. They haven't failed on me. But I've never had a tenant lockout because of a couple of things. First, my rental units have 2 exterior doors. I replace both sets of locks. The odds of both batteries dying at the same time are astronomically small because generally when you live in a place, one of the doors is the one that gets used the most often. So it's more likely to die first. I have it in my leases that the tenants will replace the batteries at least once a year. I have batteries in the unit that I'm living in that have been in there now coming up on 2 years. Same battery. I'm actually doing this to see how long the battery lasts. When they start to fail for about a month, they start making weird sounds. So there's plenty of notice that that battery's going. I've actually never had a tenant lockout with this locking system. Some people will use locks that connect to Wi-Fi. For me, in my rental units, I wouldn't do this because I don't have Wi-Fi there, and I don't care if the door's locked or open when the tenants live there or when they're coming or going. That's not my business. With those locks, I also find that the batteries last 2 to 3 months. One of the reasons why I chose this specific configuration of locks is because we enter the code and then the human engages or disengages the mechanism. This is the version where the batteries last longer than a year. There are versions where you enter a code and then a small motor engages or disengages the lock. Those tend to last about 3 or 4 months and you have to swap batteries. When I'm putting in the locks, I prefer for the coded lock to go where the deadbolt goes, and that the other handle is just a handle without a keyhole and without a locking mechanism so that tenants can't lock themselves out or lock me out. And I prefer for the code to be where the deadbolt goes because that way, when a tenant leaves and uses the code, it is actually secure. It's not the lock that's easy to open with a credit card or a peanut butter knife. Most of my content is designed to help the average person reach financial freedom in 10 years or less and make work optional, even if you're not starting from the best position. But I do self-manage 16 rental units. If there's something specific about something physical like what locks do you use that you would like to know about rental property investing, let me know in the comments below and I'll cover that topic. Until my next video, thanks for coming to my Dion Talk.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
It is entirely possible that when you get your lock, the handle is facing the wrong direction so that you can't actually use the door. This is because when they make the lock, they don't know if your door opens to the right or to the left. It does come with a tool that you can use to easily switch the handle from one direction to the other. I didn't keep the tool, but my handcuff keys will work. Seems a little odd to have handcuff keys around, but you never know when you're going to go on a date. Just pushing this in, popping the handle out, reversing the direction, and pushing it back in takes a few seconds. I hope this video helps. Ciao.